I just want to bring to the stage our celebrity. She is, listen, I say celebrity. She is my celebrity guest speaker, and she has transformed my life. Like I say to people, I stood my first live on Facebook. It took me an hour and a half, but I told her she's such a genius at this. She helps us, well, she helped me do something that I hesitated doing for a year and a half, which was going live on Facebook. So let me introduce to the stage Dr. Forbes Riley, known as the Queen of Pitch. Today she will share her proven secrets, A to Z methodology, drawing on a career spanning $2.5 billion in product sales. And that I mean billion with a B. 197 infomercials. She will teach you how to craft a compelling pitch that inspires action, builds confidence, and unlocks opportunities. Now, Dr. Forbes is going to teach us how to pitch our way to the top. So, Olga, if you're ready, let's spotlight Dr. Forbes Riley. Thank you, Forbes.
She's going to teach all of this to 15 minutes. That's how good I am. Well, number one, I want to thank Miss Diane for being so bold. And of course, Georgia is one of my beautiful students. Wiggle your fingers if you're one of my current students. I see Sandy. I see Maxine there. Chrysalyn and Deepa. Hello, you guys. I'm just going to, let me just blow your minds. Okay. Would that be okay? Because one of the things I'm focused on right now is I'm launching a new book. And whenever you do that, you get very all encompassed. The book is called Pitch Secrets A to Z. I would like you to think for a second, what does pitch mean to you? Anybody have an idea? Most of you think that pitching is selling. I got to put on my voice, Forbes. Let me pitch you my product. Well, I'll tell you what, I've managed to gross billions of dollars because I don't think that way. I think a pitch starts the moment you wake up, you roll over to your honey and go, honey, could you rub my neck? He says, yes, you're in. That's a pitch. Oh my gosh. Who here has children? Who here has children? Seriously? You're allowed to raise your hand. It's okay. It's a good thing you're a mom. But have you ever said, kids, go up and clean your room, and they don't? Why not? Well, because nobody ever does what they're told. You don't do what you're told. Seriously. You do what you want. So what a secret be to get your kids to want to clean their rooms? I have a set of twins. They're 22 years old right now. And when they were little, they were my little experiment. It didn't happen until I was 42 years old, and I was already kind of manipulative. And I was like, because my dad was a magician and an inventor and a dreamer, and I had a very wacko, crazy, exploratory world that I grew up in. I thought, all right, let me see what I can do with these two children. And I would say, hey guys, you know what? Dinner's happening. I made a really cool dessert, but I'll share with you. The only way I can give you the dessert is I can see the floor in your room and that side is all clean. They would race upstairs going, Mommy, I'm the first one to clean my room. I did it. I did it. That's so different than all the other kids in their class who are like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. My son just recently called me from college. He said, Mom, I want to thank you for not punishing us. I'm like, excuse me? He said, yeah. He said, as he remembers it, he said, we would do something wrong. And by the way, when the kids do something wrong, am I supposed to be the bad guy? I waited 42 years to have these beautiful munchkins. I don't want to have to punish them because they did something wrong. I want to be the good guy. So I simply said, great. You did this, whatever this is. What do you think the consequence should be? And they would think really hard as though it had nothing to do with them. Well, I think that person should not have their phone anymore. I said, that's great. Hand it over. They're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. And so they disciplined themselves. I know this sounds crazy, but when my son got to college, that's the only way you know it's working. He turned to me, he's like, Mom, all the other kids are like crazy. I just know better because you never punished us. I had to punish myself. But man, wouldn't the world be a great place if we understood the parameters? But what he got is there's consequences to all of your actions. Gosh, and I'm looking at all these beautiful, mostly female faces, and there's so many different ways that I could go. I'm going to start with one thing, if that's okay. The first thing, and I'm not really going to teach you pitch. I'm going to give you something. Do me a favor, and Sandy, put this in the link. I'm going to give you free access to join me this Sunday. Would that be okay? That's how I met Diane and Sandy and Deepa. For 2 hours on Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern, I will teach my pitch secrets. It is a process of unlocking what keeps you stuck, the way that you articulate what you do. So here's and I'll show you what I can do in that training real quick. Get a pen on your paper. I want you all going to ask a question. What do you do? Just start writing. What do you do? If you're lucky, you're going to get asked that question all the time. You go to a networking event, you meet new people, and that's the goal of a business person, always meet people. They're going to ask you, what do you do? 3, 2, 1. Raise your hand if the first 2 words were I help, I teach, I am. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, no, seriously, come on. I need some. There you go, Karen. All right, we're gonna shift that, and that's what Sunday is all about. Because I'm going to tell you, you have limited reactions when you tell somebody what you do, because you think they asked you what you do because they care. They don't. They really care what you can do for them. And so, Karen, just really quick, would you unmute real quick? I know there's going to be totally, that's what Sunday is. It's 100% interactive. Yeah, Karen, yes, you unmute for a second. Come on, say hi. So, Karen, when I asked you, what do you do? Because I want everyone else to benefit from this. What did you say? You're still not muted.
Hi.
Hey. So what did you say?
Hey. What do? I said I help people get until you got to.
Right. And so what's interesting, what do you really help people get, just out of curiosity?
I help them get better health from the inside out.
Okay, which sounds like the back of a box. Everybody give it a health the inside out. But if you might say, what did you do before this?
I'm a chiropractor.
Great. As somebody who spent X amount of years being a chiropractor, I now focus on you as a holistic person. That's so much better than I help people. That one shift of words will exponentially change your bottom line. Do you agree?
Boom.
Yes. And that is what I teach on Sunday. So if you guys would join me for that, you can re-spotlight me. Thank you, Karen, for jumping up here, Dr. Karen. I am going to show you guys on Sunday, and you can, thank you. I work with people just like this. I love doing this. Like Karen can crack back and adjust your neck, and I have no idea how they do that, but I'm so glad that's a thing, because every once in a while I can't turn my head that way. That's what I do with your words. I can adjust them that fast. And the next time you're lucky enough to have somebody ask you what you do, you immediately get a customer, a client, a new friend, an opportunity, a partner. I used to call it 1 minute to millions. And so I'm excited. If you go to www, free gift from Forbes Riley, I will work with you. And I'm excited to do that. We've had thousands, actually 47,000 people go through that training in 5 years since COVID. But I would love to leave you today with the fact that as I'm looking at myself and I'm looking at all of you, in 2 months, I turned 65. Now, I'm only saying that, right? I know, don't I look good for 65, but I want to look good for 45. Because all of Medicare is like calling me every day, reminding me how old I am. Now you're going to be 65. I'm like, would you guys stop? It's really annoying. You have no idea until you get to that moment in your life how weird it can be. But I'm going to take you back because 1, I don't feel it. 2, I don't look it. And 3, I will never act that grown up. I went to the gym the other day and I watched all these old ladies in these silver sneakers going like this with a little ball. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, that does not build muscle, my ladies. You have the right to be in the gym and lifting weights and looking gorgeous. That is not the way to health. That is the way to get old because you're told that. And as I'm listening to the Medicare people constantly remind me that retiring in old age, bullshit. Am I allowed to say that right now? Bullshit. You do not have to age ungracefully. And that turns out to be part of my stance. Who knew? But I'm going to go back for a second. Somebody recently asked me, Forbes, how did you get to be so confident? I went through life and I didn't let life kick my ass. I decided to kick back. Okay. And I'm not kidding about this. I started life as a very cute little girl. That was my dad, first man to put me on a pedestal, but my father was a little unusual. He was not only an engineer and a dreamer, but he was a magician. I can do amazing magic tricks because of my father. When I got to school, though, I was 6 years old here, they noticed I had a really weird mouth. My teeth were in very different directions. My mother, a descendant from the Ukraine, who grew up in her family living room, they had a very small 1-bedroom apartment when she grew up in Brooklyn, a bit of a hoarder. They take an impression of my mouth. She saves it. Do you see that year down there from 1968? My mother saved everything, which it was an interesting way to live your life. It's why I don't collect anything, because I realize that too much clutter can kill you. But when I look at that, I'm like, that's so sad. All of my teeth went in different directions. It was very hard on us financially. Took me to an orthodontist. He put me in braces for 8 years. And then this crazy orthodontist put me in this for 2 years. And so all of a sudden I cannot talk. No matter what, nobody can understand a word I'm saying. Oh my gosh. When you put a little girl and you make her feel so ugly, and then somehow I walked into a baseball bat and my nose got broken and my hair was frizzy and I was overweight. Give me 1 second, I need to take a sip of something. And the next thing you know, I'm a very unsocial, unpopular little girl who's overweight, broken nose, frizzy hair, and I talk like this. Write this down. You are the sum of the obstacles you overcome. If you went through something bad in your life, congratulations. Congratulations. because I don't think anybody goes to this life unscathed. Your job, though, I think, as a competent, human, amazing woman, is to make sense of what happened to you to pay it forward. So as if this wasn't bad enough, my dad was at work. He built that printing press. He was resting his hand on it one day. He slipped and cut off the whole front of his hand. My entire high school, my father was in the hospital. Really, you take an unsocial little girl anyway, and all of a sudden you take away all of their money, and her father's in the hospital. It's just insane when I look at what she went through, and I say she because I'm a little distance from that. It could have turned out really bad, but something inside of me just said, no, I love you, my baby. We're in the hospital one day. My mother turns to me and she said, kiddo, we have no money for college. Now, I was the smartest one in my class. I was also the most unsociable because all I did was study all the time and watch TV and movies and want to be anybody else. Funny how those things laid a path for a very exciting future. Now, I didn't know that. When I put my head on the pillow at night and cried myself to sleep a lot, I mean, I just want to whisper in her ear now that it's all going to turn out okay, because she has no idea at this moment. That the doctor, literally, my mom said there was a Miss Teenage America pageant, and she looked at my face and said, no, you can't enter that because you're not pretty enough. My dad's doctor fixed my nose. Now, I don't know about you, but who knew that a tiny little piece of plastic surgery could change everything? My eyes got bigger, my smile got brighter, the braces came off, and I did the most daring thing in the world. I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to enter this ridiculous competition because I hated beauty pageants. I really did. And I want to thank this guy. This was the doctor that did that. But I got a hand-me-down bridesmaid dress. In the local mall for the beginning, I became Miss Teenage New York. I ended up becoming Miss Teenage Long Island, Miss Teenage New York. And this crazy little girl ends up on TV on NBC with Bob Hope. And you know why? Because she said she wanted to. I remember when I walked into the first meeting my dad was there. He had his hand all bandaged. And I remember looking at 500 contestants, and I said to my dad, one of these little girls is going to be on TV with Bob Hope, and it's going to be me. Did you ever say that to yourself? That's something just so wacko that you can do this in spite of everything that you know to be true. It's irrelevant what you think. If you just say, you know what, I'm going to put on blinders. Everyone around me told me I couldn't do it. Everyone said I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't, but you know what? They do that to all of us. Who here has a company, a business, a book, a project that they're working on, and anyone ever told them, oh, no, you can't. Who do you think you are, right? Well, you know what? Get no's, become a no collector. Because what that person is doing is simply telling you their limitations. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you unless you choose it to, unless you decide to accept that. Now, my mom was always 260 pounds my whole life. I looked at this beautiful woman that I loved. She was my best friend growing up. Nobody else was my friend. But I couldn't fix her. And again, if you're the sum of the obstacles you overcome, because of my mom being overweight and dying at 70 and looking the way that she did, she ate to be happy, I created a handheld fitness product. Guys, this is the craziest little thing called a spin gym. I've sold 2.5 million of these things. And I continue to use them to have sexy arms. How many 65-year-olds have arms like this? And I will tell you, it's my product, my gift to the world. Not easy to get out. And when I started this thing, everyone told me that I was crazy and it would never work. I just had a belief. So maybe one of my gifts is that I believe that we can do things whatever we set our mind to. Does anybody agree with me? Raise your hand if you do. Olga, Marianne, I'm just curious. Because Maxine and Caridad, if you let the world define you, they will. If you choose to fight for your mediocrity, you will win. I watch it all the time. But I got to tell you, this little girl whose name was initially Francine Forbes, and Forbes was not my last name. That's the funniest thing. My grandmother, I want to say two generations ago, her last name was Feinstein. They came from the Ukraine to have a better life, only to find out that America was just as prejudiced and anti-Semitic as anyone, and she couldn't get her sons into engineering school with that last name. So she went into a phone book and changed it to Forbes. Wow. When I was about to get married, and apparently as a woman you have to give up something to get married, like your entire identity and your name, I'm not quite sure where that rule came from. And I looked at that and thought, you know, I don't want to give up Forbes. It means a whole lot to me. So I took it on as my first name, as an homage. Well, I'm going to start to cry. To my grandmother, who I only met once, because of what she stood for. Because it is not easy to pave your own way in this world. But if you don't, two things happen. One, nobody cares. You can just die tomorrow and nobody cares. or you can choose to stand for something, believe in something, and then pay it forward. And when you do that, your life begins to make sense, because at the last day of your life, it's over no matter what. I've just lost another friend to cancer. She leaves behind 6 kids. And so if you're not choosing to do something today with whatever it is, whether it's Georgia and her candles, Sandy and her bionic, Diane and what she's put together, Karen, your dream of helping people from the inside out, your goal, I just think it should be based on how much you want to give, on the outcomes you want to see in the world, and whatever that word legacy means to you. So I took a very interesting path. I took all the things that I wanted and I dreamed of, and I became an actress. And that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted to wear glamorous clothes, and it's a totally frivolous dream, right? I can have a frivolous dream. I wanted to be on the red carpet and make movies. And I'll tell you what, I've been in TV shows like As the World Turns in 24, and I have a new movie called Black Creek. I play the bad girl in a Western, and I freaking love it. Well, 2 things happen, because you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans. And did y'all hear that? Just to make sure you heard the her. Thank you, Terry. The first thing that happened was oh my gosh, I walked into a TV studio one day, and there was a pen sitting on the desk, and the audition was to sell the camera this pen. Guys, I don't like to sell. I grew up with no money, and I've never been in retail. And I looked at this and thought, you know what? All right, here's a pen. Here's a pen. Want to hear something crazy? When I was 16 years old, just 16, I went to college. I skipped a year of high school, and I was so shy and so introverted. My mom used to write me longhand notes every day. And I realized a pen like this could reach out and touch somebody's heart. Okay, Jake of Body by Jake walks out from behind the camera, grabs my face. You're going to make me a lot of money, and I have no idea what he's talking about. And the next thing you know, I'm pitching fitness products on television. And it became an entire network called Fit TV. I'm not that fit. I have that episode, and I'm happy to share that. I wore a zip-up jacket the entire time because I had a little belly and kind of hips, and all the girls with little bra types and cute little figures. I was never going to be any of them. But I could talk and I could sell, apparently. And for 5 years, I pitched products on TV that turned into the world of infomercials, became a founding member of infomercials on television, and then live home shopping. I've been doing that for 30, 40 years of my life. Well, wait a second. What happened to the actress thing? Well, you know what? When you're a stage actress like I was, it doesn't pay a whole lot of money. When you're a stage actress and you go to work at 8 o'clock at night, you don't get to take in your kids. And if you don't become Sandra Bullock and you get chased around a lot of desks, and the whole Me Too movement hadn't happened when I was growing up, it was a very confusing, very lonely time. And then my kids were 4 years old. I finally got the lead in a TV series. You guys should go check this out. Many of you don't know this. It's called Fashion House. The pilot is on I'm really good in the pilot. I play the kind of bitchy Jane Fonda meets whatever head of all of these models. And I loved it, and they loved me, and it cleared the entire country. And I'm like, I finally got what I wanted, to lead in a TV series. And then they called me one day. The head of Fox calls me and said, hey, you know what? We really love what you did, but nobody likes a big butt. He said, your name's not famous enough to launch the show. We're going to give the lead role to Bo Derek. And I thought, she's an actress? She's the woman they named 10 after. I said, okay. Thinking, okay, I'll get the second lead. And they gave that to Morgan Fairchild, very blonde, very slightly vapid, not judging, but I'm judging. And they said, thank you so very much, and hung up the phone. But wait a second, I created this character, I launched this show, it's mine. And then my agent the next day calls me and said, hey, can I talk to you for a second? I'm like, yeah. He said, I'm gonna let you go. Go? I just got the freaking lead in the TV series. Where are you gonna let me go? He says, yeah. I said, about that. I said, you're a 40-something-year-old mom of 3-year-old twins. I want to stop doing this business. My son's gonna take over. He's 25 and he doesn't want anyone over the age of 30. I'm so sorry. And I looked at the universe. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This is what I wanted my entire life. I worked everything. I finally got it, and you're just going to pull the rug out from underneath me? And it was at that moment that either I had a conversation or God whispered in my ear. But I looked and I said, I think I have to give this up, don't I? And it was just the weirdest conversation. And it was like the illusion that you're not going to affect as many people as an actress if you could doing something else. But I said, I didn't know ever get to that point. I know what the other else was. What am I supposed to be doing? I train, this is what I want. And I teach people to go for what they want, right? Get what you want. Well, I could have stayed in LA, and I could have just beaten down the doors and been a struggling actress. But something inside of me said, part of your training, Forbes, is show business isn't always about the show, but the business part. You are not going to be broke. You are not going to let this industry define you. And by the way, here's the crazy thing about this story. 20 years later, as all of this stuff is coming out, I didn't get to the Harvey Weinstein level. I came really close to that. But I have actress friends who got destroyed by that man. Maybe I wasn't supposed to be there. And you don't know that when you're going through it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give up this dream. And I said, all right, we're going to brand ourselves. We're going to sell product. We're going to make millions. And we're going to do something and raise babies. And for 22 years, more or less, I did that. I never stopped working. But I sold over $2.5 billion worth of product. And then the craziest thing about that legacy was if my daughter could hear me. You guys ever see the movie Interstellar? Where Matthew McConaughey bends time and meets his daughter like in the future. She's older than he is. My daughter, when COVID started, she was a junior. She comes downstairs and she said, Mom, I think we should take your business online. I said, no, baby. You're 17, what do you know, right? I said, I gave over $100,000 to different people and they screwed me over online. Anyone relate to that? Yeah? Okay, that was my leg. I was like, she said, Mom, look, I'm really good at this online thing. I've been building websites and coding YouTube channels for your friends like Joe Theismann, who's an NFL football player, and Les Brown and other people you've introduced me to. You're the only one who doesn't think I can do it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She opens her bank account. This little girl's got $100,000 in her bank account. I'm like, where did you get that? She said, I've been working, Mom. They hire me. And I was in shock. And she said, look, Mom, if you don't build something, you won't have a legacy. You gave us a great life, but I think you could be more. This is as if I was talking to her 20 years ago. And I don't know how the universe does that. We sat in a room. We worked on the things that I love doing, which was pitching and things that I knew. And she said, if you just focus, I'll make you $1 million. A 17-year-old. I had 25 people, half the size of this room, and I pitched I said, you know what, let's teach pitching. For a month, I said, I'll do $1,000 for a month. I have it all organized. We launched on a Wednesday night, and I had zero in my bank account when I started. And so I called her the next morning after pitching this whole idea to 25 strangers. The next morning, I said, McKenna, what does the K stand for? She said, what do you mean, Mommy? I said, I had zero yesterday. It says 25K. I said, Mom, you sold everybody in the room. You made $25,000 in one night. COVID had just hit. I'd never done that. I did that 4 times in a row. My daughter and I had a 6-figure business inside of a month. And 9 months later, we're walking across the ClickFunnels stage with a 2 Comma Club award. We'd made $1 million with one funnel, and we did it. Today, I'm in business with my daughter. And you know what's so funny is I'm saying all this to you. Somehow, through the ether, she got a part of me that I never quite fulfilled. She's the CEO of my company. She started a second company with her brother. The hat just arrived. It's called GSD. It's for Get Shit Done. Doesn't fit with all my hair. Because she didn't want her mom to miss out on this whole digital world. And today I have a company with over 47,000 students. And I have a legacy. And guess what? In 2 weeks, I'm going to Albuquerque to shoot a movie. So it's kind of funny how it happened. I don't want to take much more of your time. I just want to share with you that dreams aren't always in a Tiffany box with a ribbon on them. But I will tell you, if you spend a little downtime and articulate what you want, why you want it, and what you're willing to do to get it, you cannot just sit around and hope for things. You put the hours in, you network with people, you serve other people, you get a mentor who kicks ass, you get training like I did. And then here's the thing. If I gave you great ingredients and I gave you a recipe for food you've never even seen before, and I told you exactly what to do, I promise you put it in the oven for exactly as long, you will get something. And it may not look the way I've done it, but it's going to look the way you've done it for the first time. And the more you do that, the better and easier it gets. And I've watched my students so blossom. And my daughter was right. Today I have a legacy, and you guys are it. People who hear my story, who move their needle forward, and then what I want from you, and I'm sorry, I really want it. This is not negotiable. I want you to seek out my social media and tell me how wonderful you're doing. Like Sandy, who's gotten 52 speaking gigs since she's graduated. Listening to Georgia tell some beautiful stories and being everybody motivated. Deepa over there, who is smiling because she's no longer held hostage by her past. I know what my future is. For the next 20 years, if I'm here for 20 years, I'm, yeah, 75, 85 sounds good. To inspire, motivate, and enlighten you to be the best version of you. How did I do today? Do okay? Oh, well, thank you. Because that's my goal. I appreciate that. I really do. It has meant more than Diane. You are just a light bulb. When I first met Diane, she was a lot darker than I see right now. There was like this shadow, this haze of just frustration and whatever had gotten her to meet me. And she's like, oh, you know, I'm not gonna sure. I don't know if I should go ahead of it, whatever excuses I heard, whatever she was at that moment. But something inside of her said, let me walk this path for a while with Forbes. And I have loved and delighted watching her blossom like an absolute flower and sitting surrounded by white today. She's illuminated from the inside out. And then something beautiful happened. We did an online summit, and I said the person who gets the most people to the room will win a $2,000 ticket to come meet me in person and take my 5-day training. Diane invited a lot of you guys. She was relentless, and this is what the universe applauds and rewards, because it speaks to my heart, being relentless. Some of you say you want it, but you don't put the work in, and that's fine. But I want hang with the people who are willing to do whatever it takes to win, because there is such glory. You just feel exhausted. You feel like you've been wrung out. And I'll leave you with the fact that this year, in March, I was in a really bad vehicle accident with my kids and my husband, Joshua. We were in Iceland. The van goes flying through the air, crashes down on my side of the bus. My face goes through the glass onto the street. Now, inches away from you guys reading about me and my family in Facebook going, really sorry she died in a van accident in Iceland. That didn't happen. And that fact was not lost on me, that you didn't get to read that. I came home. And my husband said something very strange. The month before, we'd gotten our body scans done. And now I'm going to flip the switch completely just to talk about you and your body, okay? January, I was 160 pounds. I was 33% body fat when I got it scanned. And I was okay with that. That's the highest I've ever weighed since I've been pregnant. And I was okay. Even though my doctor said I was pre-diabetic, I didn't care. I was doing the business. I'd gotten very involved in this. Can anybody relate to? You don't have to raise your hand, but you get taking care of everyone else. I was like, it's fine. It's no big deal. My husband, however, who's a younger man and a bodybuilder, came in at 9% body fat on his off season. And I thought, well, good for him. It's what he does. No big deal, right? After this accident, he turns to me in the craziest ways, because God doesn't know how to talk to you. I've never seen a burning bush, right? Talks to you through other people. Right now, God's talking to you through me. These are not my words. This is something you need to hear, so listen. And he said, there's a bodybuilding competition in St. Pete. Now, we've had to travel around the world for competitions. I'm like, congratulations, that's nice. He said, yeah, but there's a category for women over 60. And I'm like, that's nice, so what? Literally, so what? Guys, it's a bikini fitness competition in high heels. I don't know about you, but since COVID, my feet have like spread. I can't fit in my high heels. You just don't. I've been wearing sneakers and yoga pants for 4 years. What do I know, right? I'm certainly not wearing a bikini, because it turns out I was molested when I was 15 years old. I don't own a freaking bikini. Don't want to show my body. I'm one of those girls who wears this skirt to the beach, right? And something said, do it. And I'm like, do what? Okay, now I've talked to God a lot. This one was weird. This one was like, I'm like, what? You got to be kidding me. No, not whatever. And it said, do it. And I'm like, okay. I have 99 days from the moment I hear do it to walking on stage in high heels and a bikini and pose and do a bodybuilding competition. This is the stupidest freaking idea I've ever heard in my life. And then I went ahead and I told everybody in my world in a Wednesday mastermind that I was going to do this, that I had 99 days. That was ridiculous, right? Okay. So I went on a diet of eating mostly carnivore, mostly protein. Just mostly protein, no sugar, no carbs, no wine, no nothing. I had enough PTSD to go, I'm just going to focus on this for a while. And then I went to the gym and I lifted weights. Joshua has a fitness weightlifting thing. I'd never really lifted weights before. And I did that for 2 hours every day. Now, the day before, I didn't have 2 hours. I've never had 2 hours, ever. You know what you have to do to find 2 hours? You have to freaking get up 2 hours earlier every morning. 5 o'clock in the morning is the only time I had, which is insane. That's my sleeping hour. That's my beauty time. 5 o'clock, the alarm goes off. I drudge myself to the gym. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to embarrass myself if I don't do what I say I'm going to do. I have no idea what the outcome could be. I'm just going to trust in the universe. You guys are going to show you something. Because if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would not have believed it's possible. That's a before and after. I took that before and thought, that's a pretty chunky little old lady. 99 days later, the fat melted off. I now, a year later, am 33 pounds lighter. I am 19% body fat. And you're like, how did you do that? Well, I just did it one step at a time. And I got on stage in a freaking bikini and rocked it. And then I got a medal for it. This is the craziest thing. This was not in my plans at all. But I'll tell you, I will forever have that picture next to these little 20-year-olds with their hard little bodies because I said I wanted it. So I go back to how crazy it is when you say you want something. And when I look at her, I'm just so freaking proud. I'm always going to have these photos. And I'll tell you what, it was worth the time, the energy to go for an insane goal to prove to you that whatever it is that you want is possible, even if you can't see the road and don't know the outcome. The right intentions, the right motivation, and the right support system will get you anything and everything you want. And I'll leave you with this. I don't know if we get to come back again, but if you do it right the first time, once is enough. Diane, I love you. Guys, thank you.